The Mountain Monster is the signature attraction at the Mountain Mile in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. The complex opened in 2019, and it may just be home to the most intense attraction in the area. The Mountain Monster is a 3-in-1 tower combining 3 extreme soaring eagle rides in one. You have the Monster Fall, which is a drop tower. You have the Monster Launch, which is a launch saddle sling. And you have the Monster Dive, which feels like the evolution of the Skycoaster. In this video, I will touch on the complex as a whole, but I will mostly be reviewing the Monster Dive because of its uniqueness. For a while, the Monster Dive was referred to as the Mountain Monster, which was confusing since the complex also refers to the tower as the whole as the Mountain Monster. As of this recording, the Monster Dive is only the second launch swing like it in the whole world. The first is the famous Terror-dactyl ride at the Cave of the Winds in Colorado. That one had one of the most iconic settings of any thrill ride, as it is placed on the edge of a cliff. I unfortunately have not ridden that version, but I hope to one day. Originally, the Mountain Monster was supposed to open in 2018, with the tower shops following in 2019. However, neither attraction opened until 2019. Unlike most Pigeon Forge attractions that are located directly on the parkway, the Mountain Monster sits parallel to it, just off Teaster Lane. But you cannot miss this ride's hulking presence from the main road. This 200-foot or 61-meter tall tower is among the tallest rides in the tourist town. I visited the complex once in 2020 after a visit to Dollywood. Typically, the Mountain Monster is open later than Dollywood, staying open until 10 or 11 p.m. most nights. Just confirm they're open if this is a priority for you. Originally, I tried to ride this attraction in November of 2019, but it had closed for the season. I believe it ran through the winter in 2020, though from the reviews I saw online, so it may operate year-round now. If you want to experience any of the attractions on Mountain Monster, it'll cost you. You have an option to pay per ride, or get an unlimited wristband good for the drop tower and the saddle sling. But for the Monster Dive, you can only pay per ride, and it also costs more than the other two attractions. And I think that's due to its inherently lower capacity. The ride only seats 2 riders at a time, and the entire experience takes 7 or 8 minutes. On the weeknight that I visited, the complex wasn't too busy, but it was still a 15-minute wait with just 2 groups ahead of me, so I'm not sure how long this line could get on a busy weekend. The lengthy ride time is because the experience includes 3 different ride systems. I believe it cost me $30 to experience the Mountain Monster, and that was on par with the cost to experience most Skycoasters. And I think this is a much better value too, for reasons I'll get into, because it includes so many different rides. And what do I mean by that? Since the Monster Dive starts atop the 20-story tower, you first need to get up there. While the Mountain Monster includes its own separate drop tower on the outside of the tower, there is also a second drop tower on the inside. This one has the same seatbelt only restraints you can find on the other Soaring Eagle drop towers. The carriage is just smaller, only seating 2 riders. So you ride this drop tower to the top platform. The ascent is slow, and the ride plays the most stereotypical of elevator music on your way up, which caused me to chuckle. Once at the top, you are unlocked and told to transfer to the Monster Dive carriage. It's sort of surreal to leave a ride vehicle like that mid-ride. It felt like an evacuation. You may have to wait on the platform for the prior party to complete their ride, and if that's the case, it will only build anticipation as you see them rocket towards the ground. When you transfer to the Monster Dive vehicle, you will notice the restraints are quite a bit different than the drop tower. You have these shoulder straps. The straps will fit quite tightly over your shoulders, but I had a lot of clearance with the rest of my body. I had a few inches of room between my chest and the straps, and then I probably had a good foot of room between my lap and the straps, which was really freaky considering what this ride does. If you look forwards, you will get an amazing view of the island shopping complex, which is right in front of you. If you ride during the day, you'll also get an amazing view of the Smoky Mountains. At night, the view isn't quite as good because you can't see the mountains. Instead, you just see all the lights of the strip. Once the platform rolls away, your ride carriage slowly rotates 90 degrees until you're staring directly at the ground. The effect is similar to the one on the Intamin drop towers like Falcon's Fury at Busch Gardens, Tampa, or Icaros at Gronalund, except the straps in the Monster Dive are far looser than the hard over-the-shoulder restraints on those drop towers. So you sort of fall forwards a bit with all your weight supported just by those thin straps. I could see that sensation being a deal breaker for quite a few people, but it just adds to the thrill factor for me. Once you rotate the full 90 degrees, you almost immediately will drop towards the ground. And the drop felt similar to one on a Skycoaster, with one key difference. It feels like you drop faster in this one. I think the added weight of the ride carriage causes the initial descent to have more of a kick to it. It sort of feels like you're launched into the drop. It left my stomach atop the tower, and it was a true freefall sensation for a few moments. The strap restraints are also a lot freakier than the full body harness you typically have on a Skycoaster. About halfway down, you begin the graceful arch over the fountains down below. On a windy day, it's also possible that you'll start spinning at this point, which is another thing that can also happen on a Skycoaster. When this ride was announced, I figured you would unload at the bottom of the ride, but you are actually winched back up atop the 20-story platform where you boarded once the ride concludes. And this gives you one last chance to admire the view, especially if you were too terrified to take it in the first time. You are then unbuckled and transferred back to the drop tower carriage you rode atop the tower. You then have two options to get down. First, you can request a slow descent. This was the less popular option, but I did see one party take advantage of it because they were still shaken up from the monster dive. The second option I went with was the drop tower. With no warning, you will drop like a rock. And I know the monster dive is the focal point of the experience, but this is among the most forceful drop towers out there. The drop is absolutely gut-wrenching, and you are secured by just a seatbelt. One other thing that's a bit different with this drop tower is the sight lines. Since you're on the inside of the tower, you will drop among a blur of scaffolding. In some ways, I think that accentuated the speed of the freefall because you couldn't focus on a stationary point of reference. This drop tower alone would be a borderline top 10 drop tower for me. So what would I rate the monster dive? Yes, it was pricey, but I would give this thrill ride a perfect 10 out of 10. This costs about as much as your average upcharge attraction like a Skycoaster or a Slingshot. But the fact you get two amazing thrill rides for the price of one makes it worthwhile in my opinion. The launch itself feels like a more intense Skycoaster, and the drop tower you ride back to the ground is an amazing attraction on its own. As I mentioned in the review, I think the experience is better during the day, but I definitely understand if you want a full day at Dollywood before visiting the Mountain Monster. While I didn't ride the Monster Drop or Monster Launch, I have ridden similar rides elsewhere. I have a separate review on the Soaring Eagle drop towers in general, specifically Skyfall and Myrtle Beach, but they ride similarly to the drop tower component of Monster Dive. I also have a review of the Super Sling ride, specifically the version at Bigfoot Fun Park in Branson, Missouri. These rides are similarly freaky for their minimalistic restraints, and they ride like an upgraded version of the Slingshot style attractions you see worldwide. These ones have more pep in their launch, and it's easier to induce flipping since you aren't surrounded by a big metal cage. So those are my thoughts on the Mountain Monster, one of the best and newest thrill rides in the Pigeon Forge area. Have you ridden this attraction? Or have you ridden a similar ride elsewhere? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.